Hey everybody, this is the fourth here, and in this video I wanted to take a look at another technique regarding compression and dynamics processing. And this technique is the pumping effect that is very common in many different genres of house music. And basically this effect has everything else in the mix duck under the kick and then fade back in until the next kick hits and then it all ducks again. So in an earlier video when I looked at sidechain compression, you kind of got a little bit of a look at this already. But I wanted to make a separate video about it just to go into a little bit more detail. And so the key to that kind of effect is to use sidechain compression. So I'm going to sidechain the kick track to the saw lead track. And then I'm going to put a fruity limiter on the saw synth track and select the appropriate sidechain signal. So you can see that the kick will be the sidechain signal for the saw synth sound. And so it's very much up to you specifically how you do everything regarding achieving this kind of effect. But when I do it, I will usually have a pretty low threshold, a pretty high ratio, and an instant attack or very, very short attack, and then a longer release time. And now you can hear that the pumping effect is, definitely happening quite a bit. And you can always adjust the parameters if you want more pumping. And you can see with a very low threshold, it starts to pump quite a bit more. And if you have the option to, you can adjust the release curve. And you'll be able to hear that it results in a little bit of a different pumping effect if I change that release curve. If I put it all the way to 8, you should be able to hear that it's pumping a little bit more. Then when I take it back to 1. So the real key to this pumping effect is getting the settings on the various parameters to be about right. You probably want a pretty low threshold, a pretty high ratio, an instant or very short attack time, and then a longer release time. But it is important to note that it will vary depending on your sidechained sample. So if this kick had kind of different dynamics, if it was a fatter kick or if it had a higher dynamic range, the compressor would react quite a bit differently to it. And it would result in a different compression envelope on the saw sound. And so if you're having trouble getting the sidechain to sound right with whatever kick you're using to achieve that pumping effect, You might try using a ghost kick instead. That has kind of better dynamics to create this pumping effect. And in a different video, I will go more into using a ghost kick for sidechaining. But yeah, hopefully that video was helpful. Really, what it comes down to is just, setting the parameters appropriately. And usually it does involve a low threshold, a high ratio, a short or instant attack, and a longer release time. But you definitely have to play around and listen to get exactly the kind of sound you want.